Howdy, Beeflowbard here, and welcome. Give an unscheduled stream here, but got to thinking. Revisit what I touched on last week, and it's the division. And part of this is going to be what they got right, what they got wrong, and also how these features can be translated into Unreal Engine 4 to be created in your own games, and I plan on trying to bring some of these features into mine. So to get started with, if you're not familiar with the game, you start at level 1 like typical, and you can level up to 30 through a series of missions and traveling the map and so forth. And let's go ahead and walk away from where others are just walking around. Then you progress into getting your base of operation. Usually by around level 4 you've migrated out of the starter area and you're into the main city. And I'll show the map here in just a moment. And then you come to build your base of operations, which this is the base of operations. This is a pretty well developed character that I've got. So you can see my base of operations is 100% on all 3 wings. I've created the security wing, and in the process of upgrading, you've got a laptop here. You can come over, and when you access it, you can see you can get different upgrades like armory, barracks, dark zone ops, supply, gunsmith, and so forth. And as you unlock these, you get these guys all show up for giving you high value targets. You can get free gear from this crate right here. One item, I think, every hour. Dark zone vendor, talk to this person, buy things using your credits from your dark zone. You can get weapons parts, which are used for crafting. You also got an appearance vendor, which I pretty much have everything that she sells. So there's almost never anything in there. Get camouflage, clothing, things like that for your camo for your weapons. Nothing really to look at in this room. You can look at it, but there's nothing to do interaction-wise. You got advanced weapons vendor here. He'll sell some good stuff as you're leveling up. And you also get like special ammo, which could be fire, like explosive ammo, things of that nature. I'm full on pretty much everything. And then you've got your tech wing. Tech wing upstairs, you go to the same thing, laptop, and expand. Pretty much the only thing you can do interaction wise once you've unlocked everything is, well, you can come over here and there's a electronics parts crate and tools. The only real interactions you have, and one thing that I forgot to show in the security wing was the fact you actually get a shooting range, which is really cool. When you got your medical wing, same basic process here. The only thing you can get from here is you can come to this locker and get fabric for crafting, and you got consumables, energy bars, sodas, water, things of that nature you can use to provide temporary buffs. The shooting range, once you've got your security wing all the way upgraded, wrong door. You'd think I know where it was by now. But you can come inside here and stand over here and shoot just whatever you want. And then you can resupply your ammo. Go to the middle stall and you actually get a shooting, sort of like a moving targets will pop up. You're trying to go for score. You've got stash, which is shared between all 4 of your characters. Yeah, that's cool. So let's actually, you've got the terminal, which is a common area, which you will see other players in there. In the regular base of operations, you don't see anything. You don't see other players. I do like that. You do have some separation. So you come in here, you can restock. You've got vendors. If there's any special events going on, they'll be going on right there, called global events. You've got expansion packs are actually launched from here as well. Underground, which was an expansion. And this one does nothing. Over here you've got player versus player stuff. And in this, you're going to have sort of organized PvP. Sort of. Survival mode is also a DLC, and I like the way that survival mode is set up. And I'll talk about that here in just a second. Well, I can talk about that now. The way survival mode works, you can choose to be in a PvE or PvP environment. So once you go in and you then queue up for a match, even if you're going in PvE, like for a solo-based experience, you still have to wait for a match to start with a bunch of other players. Even though you really can't interact with them, if they do get killed or go down, you can actually revive them, which is nice, but you can't actually attack the other players, which is, you know, for some people like myself, if I'm going to do PvP, it's going to be in an organized environment, so that's why I would go over here. Survival, I don't do very often. I've done it like 2 or 3 times, except for buying the DLC for it, and just didn't care for it. But that's that. So I like the way survival, like I said, is set up to where you can choose between PvP or PvE on your format. So to me, I think that's a good thing. And if they can do it there, then why can't they do it? And I'll show you on the regular map here. I'll actually walk outside of the building. Make sure you can show you the map here. This is the play map. All this area in here, along this coastline here, all the way across this line, and all the way up this coast here to here, is normal areas where you can go to, and it's just solo. You're by yourself unless you choose to invite or join other people, which you can have up to a 4-man group. The red zone here is what's considered to be the dark zone. It's like the demilitarized zone area of the city, and once you go into it, this is where I wish they would have done it the same as survival, to where it was PvE or PvP based, and you could choose. Well, it defeats. No, you're going to have a lot of people who are quote-unquote purist of the division, and they're going to say, well, if you want to go into the dark zone, you just take your chances. And okay, whatever, and I understand that, so I just don't go. Because I don't want to deal with douchebag players. And I say that because I haven't met any good players in the dark zone. You go in there by yourself, and you're trying to clear out, you got checkpoints, which are where you can enter or exit. Landmark. If I want to go in here and try and I can go in here solo. If there was nobody else around bothering me whatsoever, I could go in here and clear from Dark Zone 1 all the way to the very end and never die. And be challenged. I mean, there's some trash mobs, and there's some good mobs, and there's some named bosses and things like that, and landmarks can sometimes be a little tough, and yeah. It makes it a challenge to go in there by yourself because it's just a more difficult area. And that's the way it should be. But you don't want to always be looking behind your back, because more than one occasion I've gone in here and by myself and get attacked by 2, 3, 4 other players in a group. Where's the challenge of going after a solo player who's doing, you know, just fine by themselves? They're not bothering anybody. They're just going in there trying to have a good time, trying to level or trying to grind gear or whatever. What is the purpose of attacking a solo player when you're in a group of 4? It's nothing but a douche move, and there's nothing else you can do to convince otherwise. It is just a douchebag maneuver. If you're going 4 versus 1, then you're just a douchebag, plain and simple. Even if you're going 2 versus 1, you're still a douchebag. Now, I know some players out there and YouTubers who can actually go out there solo and defeat 4-man groups by themselves. I'm not that guy. So, to me, to lose this amount of the map, and this is probably, about 20% of the map, but to lose 20% of my map to an area that I cannot go into without fear of being harassed by other players. I should have the choice of being able to decide whether or not I want this to be PvP or PvE. It is no difference, because whenever the way this works is you go in here and you cross into, or you go into this map. Essentially, you're in a session. And in this session, there's 25 players, we'll say. And if there's only 25 players, well, if they're all above level 30, chances are they're going to be patrolling the dark zone anyway. But with that, you know, this can also be an instanced area. Instead of just taking up 20% of the map, to where people who don't want to do PvP, who just want to play the map and explore and, you know, engage in random battles and combat and so forth, yeah, that's one thing. Because the bots tend to be either really, really easy or slightly challenging. And yeah, make an area like this maybe that's harder than a normal area, without going into missions and incursions. Give the players the opportunity to choose. You can do it in survival mode. You go into a game of survival and you're over here in the city, and what you're trying to do is get from a safe house to make it into the dark zone and signal for extraction. And it can be tough because you're dealing with temperature, you're dealing with infection, you're sick, you're trying to get to the cure and make a flare gun, and once you do signal for your extraction, then you got a really hard mob that comes out. And yeah, if they can do it for survival, why can't they do it for overall? So to me, that's one thing that they missed the mark on. So won't focus anymore on that, and it's going to be the same thing in the Division 2. But let's actually head outside. So there's things that they did good, is to give plenty to do, but bad that they took 20% of the map away and made it only for general douchebaggery. A single player can't go in there by themselves and have fun without having to worry about getting jumped by 2, 3, 4 people in a group, or 2 groups that are running around rogue or watching you and waiting until you're engaged in combat, and then as soon as you're engaged in combat with, you know, 10, 12 mobs, then they come in there and attack you and kill you. What's the point? If I don't have any loot on me, and the loot system in the dark zone is you have to extract any gear that you find in there, which means you have to go to an extraction point, signal for extraction, wait for 2 minutes, fight off a bunch of mobs, and then the helicopter comes, you attach your loot bag to that and wait for it to lift off. And anytime during that time, another group of players or other players can come over and just kill you, and then cut the rope and take your shit, and there's nothing you can do about it. Whereas if you were given the opportunity to have PvE version of the dark zone, then things would be different. Okay, moving on. Currencies. Well, okay. Let's take a look at currency. Get rid of that piece of junk item, which can break it down into stuff I can use for crafting with. Let's look at currencies. Okay, you got your standard currency, which is your credits. Once you're level 30, these credits don't amount much to anything. You can use them a little bit towards respecking, but still, I waste credits quite a bit whenever possible. That's what, 578,607,127. Yeah, over over $500 million in credits here. So you really don't get to use it that often. There's nothing you really need to buy unless you go into a vendor that might just happen to have good gear. And then you have Phoenix credits. Phoenix credits you get from certain mobs and from tasks and caches and so forth, and they're only usable at certain vendors. Okay. Weapons kits. Well, this is another type of currency they added in, that you have to have weapons kits for upgrading your weapons. Okay. Then you got Dark Zone credits. So these are credits that they're only obtainable in the Dark Zone and only spendable at a couple different vendors. Okay. Then you got premium credits. Those are the ones you got to pay real money for, and and be able to get. I've got 2 left. I've bought some before, whatever. But oh my god, that's the premium currency. And then you have global event credits. Global event credits you can only get during a global event and only spend at one vendor. That's 6 types of credits right there. And then there's keys. Dark zone keys. When you get killed, you can lose those keys. Okay, they're only usable for certain cash boxes, and they almost never have anything worth spending a key on. So, kind of pointless. Lockpicks. Okay, you find lockpicks here and there, and there's only about a half dozen doors around the friggin' place that you would use to lockpick, and the gear that you find in the areas that you use to lockpick on is usually junk. And then you have target intel. So this might as well be another set of 6 currencies here. Well, 5, and I'll show you, I'll explain why in just a second. Target intel you get from accomplishing certain tasks and giving food to the homeless and whatnot, and then use those to be able to obtain certain missions. Directive intel, well, those are only used to do underground missions. You get cipher keys and cipher key fragments. Okay, a cipher key fragment, when you get 10 of these, you can make 1 key. When you get 1 key, you can then open up a premium box that would normally only be available by spending real credits. So that's a good thing. It gives you a way of earning your way into that. Cool. And then all your crafting resources. So yeah, that's a lot of currencies. That's 6 main currencies there. Then all these keys, there's 5 keys here, then all your crafting resources, and then all your ammunition types, and then your consumables, and then your grenades, and it's a lot of crap to keep up with. So to me, currency wise, yes, a regular currency, great. And premium currency, yeah, I can see that. The rest, no. You got 4 unnecessary credits there, if you ask me. We'll get in the ammunition part right now, or the grenades, or consumables, or keys, and whatnot. Now, another thing they did really, really good is most of the DLC that you're going to find is cosmetic only. However, there are some that are based on giving you new missions and new mission areas, like the survival, underground, things like that. So that's cool. But you get a buttload. None of the stuff that you get, though, will be game breaking. That means, oh, if you've got that, then it's automatically better because it's a, only available with real currency. And that's not the case. So I give them credit on that. Let's see. Just an example on hats. This is my hats. I mean, yeah, simple ivy, siege cap, baseball caps, helmets. Yeah, just so many different types of hats. Yeah, even Splinter Cell. Tons of hats, tons of clothing. I've got tuxedos and suits and hazmat suits. I've got Navy parade clothing, paramedic, firefighter, police officer. Yeah, and then there's masks. You get these from accomplishing special tasks and so forth. So yeah, I mean, I got a few of those. Jackets. I almost never wear a jacket unless I'm doing a suit or something of that nature. A baseball jacket, battalion jackets, bomber jackets. Yeah, so tons and tons of cosmetic ideas and clothing. Love it. Great idea. Inventory. Your inventory, weapons wise and clothing wise, you only have, once you're level 30 and maxed out and everything else, you can only have 120 inventory slots. It doesn't matter if it's a electronics mod or if it's a magazine, a scope, a vertical grip, or if it's a weapon. Don't ask why I've got so many damn weapons. Different armor sets, armor pieces, and then you can have loadouts where you can save, like, okay, I want to overwrite this one, but I want my tacticians, or I want a striker set, or D3 FNC, or reclaimer, or defense, as some people call it. You can have different loadouts here, and just by selecting it here, you can change your loadout when you're not in combat. More good stuff. When you're out here in the city streets, in the main area, as you can see, it's nighttime. There is a day-night cycle. That's good. However, one thing that really just kind of annoys the living shit out of me. Let's go back into our base of operations. Now, the storyline of the division was Black Friday. There was a terrorist attack, essentially, and what happened was a super smallpox virus was contaminated onto dollar bills, and those dollar bills were spread out during Black Friday when so much money is changing hands back and forth, and it infected a large portion of New York City, and then more areas around the country, and then around the world, and so forth. So this takes place right after Black Friday. So that's, you know, Thanksgiving weekend. Okay. So it takes place before Christmas time, and so there's Christmas decorations around your base of operations, and you know, it's kind of cool. It's themed out, and there's Christmas trees with lights, and there's packages under the tree, and you got people just randomly walking around. You got someone playing the guitar and the piano, playing Christmas music, and stockings hung and lights and everything. It's awesome. Christmas. Hiding back here in the back, there's a movie playing. From where, I don't know. So it looks like it's projected onto a screen. Where the hell's a projector? I damn sure don't see a projector. And it's not coming through this wall, so just random people laying down. But the whole Christmas theme. This game's been out for 2 years. It's been Christmas for 2 damn years. Add some seasonal shit to your freaking maps. I mean, seriously. After Christmas is come and gone, come January, we need to be looking at a different thing. It can still be cold and snowy and everything else, but damn, get rid of the Christmas stuff. Not saying anything bad about Christmas, but damn it. How long does it need to be Christmas? 2 damn years? Well, it's a really big map, and it'd have to change a lot of stuff. It's been 2 years. You've had time. For real. You had time. Nancy civilians, you can go over here, get target intel from them, and usually junk gear. Now, when you're leveling up from level 1 to level 30, gear might be awesome. But once you at level 30, the stuff that they give you is garbage. But you need the target intel. Come in here and pick up your crafting supplies. There's plenty of food in here, that's good. Food that can be distributed to the refugees and so forth. Alright, but another thing was like, when talking about the map and the way the map's set up. Again, you're still going to see some Christmas stuff here and there, but you're going to find bodies laying in the street. At what point do you think maybe people might actually come out and pick up the corpses? I mean, seriously, it's been 2 years and still haven't picked up all the damn bodies. There's sections of some of the maps where the you know, part of the subway system that wasn't being used was used as a place to deposit bodies, the temporary morgue. Yeah, okay. Cars that have had their blinkers on, emergency flashers, for 2 years. Okay, it adds some coolness to the map. Don't get me wrong. I like that part of it. It adds a little bit of liveliness to the map. The cover system I like. The fact that when you're in cover, you get a bonus to your to whatever, but when you're on cover, you're more difficult to hit for obvious reasons. You're behind cover, right? And the fact that you can, while you're on cover, you can see the arrow that popped around there. You can actually slide around and stay on cover, retain your bonuses that you get for being on cover, but you can also do cover-to-cover moves, which can also give you bonuses. And that brings me to another thing, is how many bonuses do you need? I know it's a video game. It's supposed to be something going on to kind of give you a buff to what you're doing. Took all those rounds to dump into somebody to kill them. So, looking at stats, and that's the other thing here, is you end up with a stat system. And those stats are on all the weapons. Golden Rhino is 107,689 damage per second. What? But the Damascus, which is, you know, a 9mm versus this being 357 Magnum, okay. But this 9mm is 119,000. Well, DPS means damage per second, how many shots you can get, okay. Beretta 93R, also 9mm, fires 3-shot burst, 125,000. Whereas the M45A1, which is 45 ACP, is doing more damage than the 357 Magnum, and almost as much as a 9mm. And really, I don't get it. Hundreds of thousands of DPS, okay? So let's look at rifles, okay? M700 Tactical or is 125,000, we'll round it up. Okay, what caliber is it supposed to be? Of the norm, a tactical rifle like this will probably be a 308 caliber. Okay, Urban MDR, also a 308. This one's semi-automatic rifle. 269 with bonuses versus 124. It's semi-automatic versus a bolt action. The base damage, let's look at that. 40,000, 93,000. This one does so much more base damage, but it's the same caliber as this. I don't like whenever games assign arbitrary numbers to a weapon based on its whatever. Like, oh well, it's in the Urban MDR. It's, you know, it's a badass weapon. Yeah, it's a cool weapon, but why does it do more damage than in semi-automatic for base damage? That's per bullet damage. This does 93,000 and this does 40,000. This does almost double the damage per shot in the same caliber. Hungry Hog, 7.62 by 5180 or 308. 16,000. Well, that's because it's a machine gun and you're going to be putting a lot of bullets downrange. Doesn't make the bullet do any less damage. So to me, I'm going to call bullshit. I could talk about that crap all day long. Same thing. Here's a 14k damage for a 9mm submachine gun versus a 9mm handgun, 14.3. Okay. Wow, less than 10,000? Gee. So, yeah, that's just one of those things that I won't be doing. You end up with so much of the bullshit of trying to juggle back and forth between, well, I have to use this gun here because, you know, which, whatever, you know, because of the numbers on it. You know, because that 12 gauge is better than any other one. Magazines, okay. No problem. Put extended magazines on. I don't like the magazine system here. So many different things that I don't like. And I'm old and grumpy as shit all the damn time anyway. But, still. Skins, that's the other thing here. Yeah. Love it. I mean, you can apply these different skins, change the way they look. Now let's go with that. With the Safari look. Still don't have it equipped, but yeah. So, features for carrying over for Unreal Engine 4. Of course, the day-night cycle. The snow. I do like the fact that the snow does not look like it's just in one small area. Most of the particle effects that I see for snow are really small. If you try to scale them up, they just don't look right. So you'd really want to have a bit more. And another thing I will say about the snow in this is it accumulates. You can see there's snow sitting on top of here, snow on top of this vehicle, and as you move around, your foot will actually remove some of the snow. How they do that, I don't friggin' know. Are you still alive? So, yeah. I don't understand how the that works. That is something that I think is really cool. Show footsteps in the snow on top of an item that, you know, may not always show the snow. Yeah, bad guys everywhere. Peekaboo, bitch. Shooting system. Okay, I'm on PC. I'm not on a console. PC, we don't get auto aim. That's something that I really don't care for either. Well, on console, you know, the controls are okay. If the controls suck, then play it on PC. I'm not gonna bother picking up purple items, but so yeah, I mean, auto aim, I am totally not worried about. Not something I'm even gonna focus in on. To me, that's cheating. If your controls don't allow you to have good enough aiming, then that's all on you. Change your controls, get good at your controls, whatever it takes. So I love the fact you've got these large expansive maps. So you know, I walked out of the base of operations, which was right over here, and I've walked down the street and I've only gone a short distance. So you can see there's pretty good map that I could walk around in. And instead of just doing, you know, just roaming around and doing nothing, like this right here is a mission. I can choose to do this mission right here, and I can change the difficulty level. Some of them have like normal, and then, for example, normal, hard, and legendary. Normal is, well, pretty much really, really easy. Hard, not too bad. And I'm judging this on a squishy character. Legendary, you're pretty much not meant to do that by yourself. You're supposed to be in a full group for that. Incursions, they try to force you to do incursions as a group. And for the most part, you're not going to be doing the mission solo. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's just not worth the effort sometimes to try to do that by yourself. Stolen Signal, Clear Sky, this one right here, Stolen Signal, requires at least 2 people. Group of 4 is recommended for all the incursions. Now, like this run over here, Falcon Lost. It's pretty much, you could probably get away with doing that one solo. It's rather difficult because you really need one person to disable the turrets, which only last for like 5 seconds, so that you can plant explosives. And You got wave after wave after wave of bad guys coming in. So yeah, I mean, there's Warren Gate, challenging, can be challenging. So map size, how do they do this? How are you going to get that much map in here? And I can seamlessly walk from this side of the map over to the other side of the map. I'm going east now, and east is going to push me right towards the dark zone. What's interesting here is you can see your character, but whenever you mouse off of your character, you see a little, it's like the bones, you know, just a skeletal rig of the player standing there. It's kind of an interesting touch. But if this wasn't the dark zone, I could walk from here all the way across to here, no problem. So would assume that, and this is a whole different game engine too. So this is not like this was done on Unreal Engine 4, but the same effect can be done. Look at the sheer number of objects that are in this map. I mean, you got home cheese here. I can shoot the car. It's just sprites there, but some of the cars you can shoot the mirrors off of. You can shoot the tires out. Where does it used to be? All of them. You could shoot all of the cars and shoot all the tail lights. You could shoot the glass out. Alarm came on. Just close the door and just damage the door. But, I mean, I'm kicking a box here. I mean, look at all the interactable objects that are in this map. Two bottles over here. I can shoot those off. Climb on top of it, and you can see my footsteps have removed some of the snow on it. With the sheer number of objects that are in here, I mean, hell, that's a hell of a lot of actors. I mean, a hell of a lot. The sprint is I don't remember if that was just a setting or whatever, but you can toggle to go into sprint mode. There is no jump. You hit that spacebar key, it does nothing unless you're next to an object, then you can hit it, and then you go on to cover. Alright, you guys let me the hell alone. But you can damage this. Spacebar to get back off of cover again. Yeah, that's another good thing right there. Tear gas, a noxious gas, or whatever. You get disoriented, and it doesn't just invert your controls. It makes you actually veer off course, and it takes a few moments to go away. Rats. Well, if I could shoot worth a damn. You can kill the rats. They spawn rather quick. And yes, you can kill the dogs too. You can close. I just closed the doors on that car. Cannot get into the buses. Interestingly enough. Or boringly enough. If the doors were open, you should be able to go inside, but can knock these things over. So many little things that are not that difficult to do individually, but when you start combining them all together, there's a lot of shit going on here. Get out of here. Get. Close the doors. There's an achievement for closing the doors. So it knows that you just closed the door on a car. And whether or not you were in cover or not. The pedestrians, you can't hurt them. At one point on the PTS, you could. I did a video about it. And of course they nerfed it and took it away. So the achievement system is really good. Crows, you can kill them. Rats, you can kill them. To my left is the dark zone. Now if I cross over into the dark zone now, through any of the crossing points, then it goes into that PvP mode, but they cannot come out and be in the same instance as me. So how does that work? Well, to me, that just says it's an instanced version of the map. You want a med kit? Bitch, and all you give me some ratty ass gloves? I'm gonna pistol whip your ass. I mean, look around the map, though. I mean, if you can see down the street, you can get there for the most part. I mean, look at the billboards. There's a parachute. Attached to that parachute was a supply drop. And you can actually go over to some of those supply drops, and it was a drone, or it was something that you can actually pick up. Now, the seeker mines. You see me deploy them. Seeker mine is a deployable that it will seek the target and then explode on contact. Alright, that's something that I do want to replicate, just because I use the hell out of it in this game. In fact, this character here that I'm playing on is geared specifically to provide me with the maximum amount of damage that I can do with these. And once I get to a certain point, yeah, I could probably get more out of it, but why? Alright, so that's shit inside the dark zone. They're spawned inside there. I can't get in there from here. It's giving me the red marker saying that I can hit them. But it won't let me hit them, and the wall's too high for me to throw a seeker mine over. Yeah, I mean, I can get it on top, but not over. What are you shooting at? I don't know. There's more NPCs right there. And that helicopter's there. There's probably somebody in there that's trying to extract. If I look at the map, yep, there's an extraction area there. It's not blinking, so that doesn't indicate that somebody's trying to extract, but yeah, just weird. You can see them over there. They're fighting, doing their thing, and you can't interact with them. So things that I'm going to try to be replicating into the and to get into the dark zone. One of the primary ways is going through here, and it just takes me into another area. And this could be level streaming. And if you're able to level stream, then, you know, if I go through that door right over here, it takes me into the dark zone. Yay. I guess it could look. Who knows? Consumable, dark zone, sealed cache, magazine, firearms mod, yeah, junk. So, things that I want to look into creating. Some level streaming so that I can make a map that's freaking huge like this, where you can roam around in it, and you're in your own private session, but you can also invite your friends and play cooperatively. That to me is the primary starting off mode, is to create the lobby system, which is going to be, instead of it being solo, when you're in that lobby, or in the case of this game right here, the base of operations, you would actually be in an area that you might see other players. Or in this case, to start off with, your initial session when you first go into it is just going to be whoever is part of your game. Usually it's somebody that you've invited. Those are friendlies. So to start off with, you're going to go into the lobby, you're going to be able to interact with vendors, you're going to be able to walk around and check things out, and then whenever you walk outside, you're actually going to go into the map area, and like I said, to be able to get a map this big, it's probably going to take some level streaming. I can't think of any other way of having this much stuff on a map without being an absolute friggin' dog on anybody's computer, much less someone playing on a potato. So to be able to get this much stuff into the map, to be able to seamlessly walk from point A to point B and cover several miles, I mean, I can sit here and walk for hours. If you look, I mean, this is all this section right here and dark zone and all that. I can go to any part of this. You know, there is a fast travel system in the mini map or the main map area. So if I want to go back to the base of operations, I can select here, hit the X key and then space bar, and I can teleport to it. We'll teleport to a mission. Go right ahead. That makes whenever you're actually in a group, hey, let's go to Lincoln Tunnel, or let's go do Amherst, or whatever. World comp and level streaming is two different things. I know that, but both of them probably will be needed. Because stuff like the Amherst apartment or Hudson Refugee Camp, even though you could probably do it and do level streaming, same thing with the base of operations and things like that. When you go into a larger interior section, then with World Comp you can actually, you're tiling your map essentially. Whereas like the starting zone is actually, I think, is over here, I think, in this section of the map, where you can't really get to it, and you got areas like this is not being used. But if you want to go to another area, use the combination of overall comp and level streaming. So yeah, it's the combo of turrets. I like them as well. In this particular section, you've got several different types of turrets. This is the machine gun turret. Essentially, picture a P90 assault weapon or submachine gun, PDW, whatever, that's on a turret with the ability to track targets. Alright, fools. Yeah. Of course, Seeker mine. I want to try to do a basic version of Seeker. Really? You're going to spawn behind me? Yeah, I'm trying to talk. But, the turret I like. You see you got the magazine, basically like a P90. That's just, you know, the turret essentially is just a turret. It's just one you can deploy. Of course, in this case, you have unlimited versions of them. You see, whenever the time went up, it disintegrated itself. Since this character is geared up towards doing that. Seekers, I can pretty much damn near spam them. The turret, before it's actually expired, my cooldown is already up. I can deploy it again. So there's some things that I will look into bringing over. Not a bunch of stuff, but you know, with the map system, I'm not even worried about the map just yet. And honestly, I would rather go through and start working on some of the main core features. The shooting system, going from a ready position to aim down sight position, you can shoot from the hip, and you can see it brings it up to a certain point. You have no crosshair whatsoever. You're trying to shoot from the hip, you're taking your chances. If you're on cover, you do have one, but it's larger. But if you right click to aim down sight, you get a little bit better accuracy. But then you also have tab, which goes into the scope, which is going to give you your highest amount of accuracy. So you've got hip fire, you've got ADS, you got cover fire, and then you got aimed cover fire. You got a bunch of different fire modes. What are you looking at? Cool. So yeah, there's a lot to take into account for that. But to start off with, a standard mode, aim down sight mode is different from scope mode. I guess they call this, I think, shoulder mode or shouldered. So when you shoulder it, you do get a crosshair, versus hip, you do not. And I like that. I didn't at first, but the more I kind of mess with it and think about player versus player, if you're just running around with a bullet hose like this, with a high capacity magazine, unless you're, you know, when you're in this mode trying to run around, accuracy is absolutely shit. You look at the shot group on there, versus aiming on the sight like this. So the shot spread is another thing we'll take a look at. A crosshair, no crosshair in third person mode. Shouldered mode we'll have to take a look at, because with most of the animations you run into that are set up, and all the ones that I have right now are set up as a shouldered mode. You can see whenever I'm not shouldering my weapon, I get full rotation of my mouse. But as soon as I shoulder, that goes away and uses pawn control rotation at that point. You let go, it disables pawn control rotation. So, shouldered, not shouldered. That I like also for those moments whenever I'm just BSing around and I want to take a break, or if I'm on the phone or whatever else. I'm going to be in this view right here, just kind of screwing around. The lights, you shoot them, and I've shown that in another video where they go out and then come back a few minutes later or moments later. When you're not engaging combat, like I said, this right here is easy enough to do. Then when you shoulder it, that's just setting your pawn control rotation on and off. Easy enough to do. Weapons wise, whenever you change to this, you're going from a unarmed animation blueprint, and you can change this to run a separate animation blueprint for this mode, because when you're in this mode and you decide to go into scope mode, your character is still essentially the same situation. You're just changing your camera and your field of view. See how it transitions in and out? I'll look at doing that transition. That's a minor thing though. So to get started with, we'll do a basic walk around animation. The animation starter pack, probably use those animations to get started off with. That or another animation pack that I've got. Kind of like using stuff that it's free for showing you most of the demos and videos and stuff, but I may use the other animations because I have good animations for reloading and stuff. And if you notice on that right there, a few rounds here, that animation for reloading is based off of this particular weapon because of that style of magazine, versus if I'm on my sniper. Now if I want to reload it, it's going to the correct location to change the magazine. So that's a nice touch there. That will definitely be something to look at down the line. So armed, unarmed animation, or unarmed essentially is just walking with your weapon at low ready, and that's the way it should be. Transition to your weapon, your secondary or your pistol. When it goes back in the holster, it looks good. But if you look, whenever I go to retrieve my pistol from the holster, it just appears. It doesn't actually draw it. Almost all the frickin' pistol animations that I've come across, the player is pretty much reaching behind their back. I don't really care for that. Because put it in the holster, of course, you know, you ignore the fact that he's got a silencer on there. It's not perfect, but better than most. So setting up the weapon switching after the normal, just walk around mode, and then shouldered mode, and then put away modes. I've got animations for all of that, so I'll probably end up doing those. Getting the animation sequences done correctly, and then start working into the shooting systems. having it where you have a different spread for when you're in this versus shouldered. You see, he's a different animation position between the two modes. Whenever he goes to shouldered, it goes to a full shouldered, whereas right now he's low ready, and then he relaxes and goes into a slightly different version of low ready. A lot of animations to take a look at. I don't have the ability to make my own animations, so I'm going to be using what's currently available. But I have different spreads for the different weapons. I will do that. But the one thing I will not do is PP19 or the house, which is a SIG MPX. I know, understandably, some weapons manufacturers don't want their weapons names portrayed. But the one thing like this, a Liberator, it's a 5.56, 223. Why does it have a base damage of 15.3 and Caduceus, or whatever however you pronounce that shit? It's a Scar S, it's a 5.56 as well. Same caliber, 18.5. Okay. Looked at that one, 15.3. 3,000 different in damage between those. There's another Liberator here, 14.5, same caliber. FAMAS, same caliber, 13.3k. And of course, you got Midas, you got Tommy Gun Historian, 308 caliber, 30.9k damage. Here's another one, 31.3k. Big Alejandro, same caliber, 9,716, but it's got a higher rate of fire. Who cares? Rate of fire does not make a bullet do less damage. If you're shooting a frickin' Urban MDR, it's doing 40,000. It's the same damn caliber. It's 308. Same caliber as this, 46k damage. Same caliber as this light machine gun, or this semi-automatic marksmanship rifle, you know, M14, M21, whatever you want to give it the name-wise. I'm not going to be doing the damage based off of an arbitrary name for a weapon. Damage is going to be based off of ammunition type. 9mm from this MP5 is 12.4k, but the Midas is 14.4k. This is per shot damage. I'm not doing that. That's just absolutely stupid. The Sausage, SAS G12, 74.5k. Where's another shotgun? 110,000 for this one because it's a pump shotgun. What? Yeah, don't get it. 85.1k for this M44. And where is she? Right here. So 85.1k versus 13.2k for what should be the same caliber. So, yeah. Not going to do that shit that way. No. As for crafting, way down the line. But to start off with, getting the animation system together and working. Oh, excuse me, I forgot you. Getting the little things done, like that. One thing I will look at really quickly, forget where the hell I am, walk back in the base of operations, and when you come up to a vendor. That's cool, that's just a widget. I go in here and it actually goes away. Come back out, it's visible. Nice touch, not necessary, but nice touch. The haze, it's supposed to simulate that you're going through like a chemical spray to decon. I like the floating stuff here and there, but you come up here, I talk to this guy, the F is kind of hovering right there in front of him. With what they are is weapons vendor, and see, he'll stop, he'll turn and look at you based on where you are, and that's just his head looking at you. To do that without moving the entire body, his body is staying stationary. So essentially he's acting like a freaking turret. You see, he went from arms folded to whenever I started talking to him and to start buying. Now he's leaning against the counter during the transaction. And as soon as I close the transaction, he actually says stuff. You can see his mouth move. I got voices turned off. But he changes the animation sets. Kind of cool. See, she's looking at me until I walk away, get away from a certain point. It's actually creepy at times whenever they stop and are looking up at you. But when you get within a certain range, they will... And yes, that's the same guy as that guy over there. See, that's random. He would be saying something like, hey, I got what you need over here, or come buy this, or whatever. But it is kind of creepy at times, but that is something to look into. Same thing. Any NPC that you can interact with, when you get close enough to them, they will actually only move their head, but they will turn and look at you until you get out of their line of sight. And that can be done with pawn sensing to tell whether or not, but I don't know if you can tell, but there's a weird outline around her jacket now. They'll let you know that they're interactable. Can't really see it on him. He's telling me to hurry up and come over to him, but there's so many different little things you can do. So this guy, I can't interact with him. So he's just doing whatever animations. And I've got animations that I can use for different stuff like this. And am I trying to recreate the entire division? Hell no. Because I don't want it to be Christmas time for 2 friggin' years. Good looking game though. Fun for the most part. So this guy, you're not actually interacting with the person, you're interacting with the desk, so that guy does not turn and look at you. You can interact with her, but now that I'm not able to anymore, she won't even give me a time of day. Typical women, I'll tell you. Get close enough, they do different animations. Yeah. Vendors, all this stuff will be in what I'm going to be doing, but I will start doing little things, trying to get like the animation set up, and then work on interactions with a chest whenever I go to restock. The character kneels down. I don't necessarily have to do all that at first. You're dealing with a vendor. At first, you don't have to worry about doing interactions. But having a widget that will pop up and let you do your shopping, yeah, that's easy enough. But here's the thing is, now these are items that were part of a premium DLC or what have you. So these are always going to be here. They're not going to change. However, I come over to the weapons vendor or gear vendor. These are going to change. I think it's once a week or whatever. They have their rotation of it and uses RNG. Right now this one has 22.0k damage. That will change. The stats will change. Not the RPM or the magazine, but the damage will change. And you have these talents that are on the weapons. I won't be doing that either. This weapon deals 100% more damage when the target is below 30% health. Okay. And you also get Unforgiving. Missing health segments increase your damage. I'm not going to worry about doing that crap. But the whole point is, once a week, these are regenerated and will have different stats. Might be different weapons here instead of just the same ones you see now. So it's RNG on what they actually show. random number generator, just in case you don't know. But yeah, the stats, like that's not a bad magazine. It's not maxed out, but it's not bad. I'm not going to have stats on a magazine. By using this magazine, it gives you plus 119%. Doesn't matter what you put it on, it's going to give you that 119.5% additional ammo. Increase your critical hit chance and your reload speed. Okay, magazine size is one thing, but some weapons, like the one that's on my shoulder right now, the PP-19, you don't have different magazine size. But I will say another thing that I will like to get into is the weapons customization. Yeah, that's something that I have not messed with a whole bunch. For example, well, you know what? Shits and grins. Let's buy black market sausage. Buy that and equip it, whatever. We'll get this extended magazine, and I got a bunch of other stuff in here too. But so with this shotgun, I can go into it, and here's our extended magazine. We got 7 rounds in the magazine right now. We can add that, and now I have 15. Cosmetically, it didn't even change. Angled foregrip. Yeah, that's going to change. Let's go with red or whatever the hell I got in here. Don't even care about the stats. Let's put that on there. It's gray. Optics. And you can see them right here. Plus, you can see them in game as well. Okay. Got a rail for your optics right there. And this has got no eye relief to it. So, sure, let's put Trigicon there. And skins. That's just a material change, but still it's a nice touch. I mean, you got seasonal stuff like holidays and different fires and shit. You got so much different shit to look at. But it gives the player some personal choice on how their weapons are configured and laid out. Is that necessary? I honestly think so. It's kind of one of those things where it adds a nice touch to the game, but if you're not going to let it affect your stats, the only thing that it should affect is, let's run over here to the shooting range, is your reticle type and the type of magnification, or if there is any at all. The optic on this scope right now has no magnification whatsoever. So whenever I go to shouldered mode or try to go into scope mode, it's virtually the same thing. Shooting them here, the numbers are coming out up high, whatever. And kind of an indication on my reticle there of the ammo count in the magazine. Interesting. Automatic reload, nice. But if I switch back over to my sniper, shouldered mode, you don't see anything. But scope mode, you do actually have a reticle. So having different reticles for the different style optics, if I go in here and change from that tactical sausage to the house, that's a red dot scope. And let's see here. Nope, we'll go to that. So again, go into scope mode. All it does is add that red dot to the center of that normal reticle that I already have. As soon as I hit tab key, I see the red dot. Switch over to, and that's got a regular high power scope. Alright, like this right here. Liberator. Go into scope mode, it actually has a scope reticle. So let's put together a few different reticles. Muzzle climb and shot dispersion is something to look into. That can all be handled in the fire portion of your blueprint. Hit indicator. See, I can get an indicator saying that I've hit my target. Nice, easy enough to add. This one actually fades in and fades back out, so that's something to look at a little bit along. And what I want to try to do is, at least once a week, start doing a video instead of like this right here, where it's just going through and looking at the features, of actually going into UE4 and building these things, or starting to build them, and to get an idea of what it's going to take to make them operational. Alright, so I think I'm going to go ahead and end this video here, because we're just past the 1 hour mark. And I got some things I got to go attend to. But I think tonight, on tonight's normal scheduled live stream, we'll probably end up messing around with some of these things. Where I started messing with the cover. And to me, I like that system as well, the cover system. Remove the jump from UE4. Why? Well, because this doesn't have one, and don't really miss it that often. Spacebar is to get on cover, and you can transition from cover to cover. So I'll continue working on that cover system. Of course, I deleted that project, but whatever. I will work on that cover and the cover to cover movement. You see, you can go to an aimed mode and return back to your cover, and control key will vault you over the cover. So those are the things I'm going to be working on the side, but the primary for right now is I'm going to go ahead and start getting the features done one at a time. Water, huh? You're going to give me garbage. Just trade this down. Alright, thank everybody for watching, and like I said, I will be working on these features, and as I get them working, I know that there's a couple other YouTubers that are out there that have actually done videos on these things, so I may decide to link them as well. One of them, it's SG, he actually, for his viewers, he put out a pack that you can download that contains some of his weapons and stuff in it. I took a look at it. They were a little bit on the weird to work with size-wise, and route locations and so forth. You try to equip it and it's 10 feet above your head, and yeah, weird stuff like that. But my Monday, Wednesday, and Friday streams, I will look at doing the those features one at a time, just kind of working on one, trying to get it finished out, and just got to see along the way how I'm actually making them. So, thanks for watching, and we will see you around.